So anyway, welcome to Desert Haven's Safety Zoom EPT. Today we're going to be discussing violent situation on active shooters. So it says here, get out, hide, and fight. So when it comes to active shooters, what is an active shooter? If you don't know, an active shooter is a person or persons who are actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people in a confined populated area. So very scary stuff, but it's important we talk about it and prepare, always prepare for the worst and hope for the best, right? So in most cases, an active shooter will use a firearm or many firearms, and there is no pattern or method to their selection of victims. So that's very unfortunate. So we don't want to assume that they're out for somebody in particular. We want to respond like they're out for all of us. So active shooter situations are unpredictable and happen very quickly. Typically, law enforcement is required to stop the shooting and assist the victims. Because active shooter situations are often over within 10 to 15 minutes. So that's important. At the time, it might feel like a really long time, but they're usually completely over and done with in 10 to 15 minutes. Individuals also must be prepared mentally and physically to deal with an active shooter situation until law enforcement arrives. So that's why we do these things. That's why we educate you guys and we practice these drills when we're here at Desert Haven. I remember for you guys that are in Project Independence, you do an incredible job at these drills. You guys respond very well, and your trainers are also very awesome in their response. So I appreciate you guys, how seriously you take these drills when you're here. So the next slide is good practices for coping with an active shooter. So no matter where you're at, whether you're here at Desert Haven or you're at the mall or in a restaurant or at the post office, you want to be aware of your surroundings and your environment. So we did a video Zoom a couple months ago, and it was an exercise in seeing what was strange around you. And I can go ahead and post that video again on Facebook. But it was really good at helping us to think about being aware of our surroundings. So if you see somebody walking around that looks irritated or agitated or suspicious, you want to report it. Take note of the 2 nearest exits in any facility you visit. You should do that regardless, whether we're practicing an active shooter or if we are practicing a fire drill or an earthquake drill. You always want to be aware of your exits. If you're in an office, you're going to stay there and secure the door. So like for me, I'm in my office. If there was an active shooter right now, I'm going to make sure my door's locked. I'm going to shut my blinds and I'm going to hide underneath my desk and be very, very quiet. And I'm even going to turn my phone on silent so the person that is wandering around in the hallways thinks that this office is empty. If you're in the hallway, get into a room and secure the door. So some doors don't lock. If my door didn't lock, I'd probably put the chairs against it, whatever was heavy, so the person wouldn't be able to bust through the door. And as a last resort, attempt to take the active shooter down. When the shooter is at close range, you can't flee. Your chance of survival is much greater if you try to disarm him or her. So we've heard the heroic stories that have taken places at schools and other environments where there's been an active shooter. People, you can use how many of you have one of these really heavy water bottles? This is kind of the big thing right now. Big, heavy water bottles. They're made of metal, and you can stick all your fun stickers on them. But if someone were to get hit in the head with one of these things, that would hurt really, really bad. So use your heavy water bottle. You can use fire extinguisher, stapler, whatever. I don't know about stapler. Maybe a hole punch would be better. Whatever you have in hand, if you're forced in that situation to attack, grab whatever's hard and nearby. Call 911 when it is safe to do so. So that's the other one. You want to make sure you get to safety, whether you're running out of the building and getting to safety or you're hiding. Wait until you're safe before you call 911. So right now I'm going to share a video with you. So it's about 7 minutes long, but it's a really good video, you guys. So, and it's from the Department of Homeland Security. This sounds good.
Active shooter events can occur anywhere at any time, and frequently involve individuals attempting to kill others indiscriminately. These events are unpredictable and can evolve quickly. For this reason, whenever you enter a building as an employee, guest, or customer, you must be prepared and know what it is you will do if faced with the worst-case scenario, even if it's just another day at the office.
Last night, every time I closed my eyes, all I could see were slide decks.
Don't remind me. Sorry I'm late. Did I miss anything?
Hey, you got a minute to catch me up on that thing?
Yeah, come on in. Is Amelia here too?
Let me grab her, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
When startled by a gunshot, it's a natural human reaction to freeze. Unfortunately, this response leaves you vulnerable to what might come next. If you see someone frozen in place in this type of situation, make your best attempt to assist them.
I think it's critical that we find a way to make sure this doesn't happen again. We've wasted way too much time.
That's gunfire.
Are you sure that was a gunshot?
That's gunfire.
Was that really a gunshot? Call the police.
Move over there. Come on, get away from the door.
If you can't easily evacuate, the best option is to hide. Lock the door, stay close to the ground, and try to find cover from any stray gunfire that may penetrate the walls. If you're able, call 911.
What was that?
Sounded like a gunshot. What should we do?
Come on, let's get out of here.
When possible, the best alternative in an active shooter event is to run. If your path is clear and you can safely reach an exit, evacuate as soon as possible. Of course, some may not have such easy access to a safe exit. In these situations, you must decide for yourself whether it is best to evacuate or to hide. As with any of these options, if you do choose to run, commit to this action. And remember, police will be arriving to assist you and to evacuate the wounded, so be sure to keep your hands up and empty as you clear the building. Otherwise, put simply, don't stop running. Once clear of danger, make contact with 911 to assist their response by providing them information about the shooter, the weapons they're carrying, and the amount of wounded that may still need medical assistance. If you have been unable to evacuate and are trapped in the facility during an active shooter situation, remember, making the decision to hide does not prevent you from putting up a fight later. If you are confronted by the active shooter, you have to assume that your actions are all that stand between yourself, your colleagues, and grave harm. Fight for your life. Search around you for sharp or heavy objects that you may use to disable the attacker. Collaborate with those around you to ensure you aren't acting alone. You're taking action for your survival, so do not hold back, and do not stop fighting until you know beyond certainty that you are safe. Committing to run, to hide, or to fight will keep you safer than if you freeze during a crisis. Remember to prioritize your safety. If you come across those who are wounded and may need assistance, assist them if you can, but do not let them inhibit your escape. As an individual, the most important thing you can do to keep yourself safe, whether it is to run, hide, or to fight, is to commit to your decision and to continuously reevaluate the situation. If you own a business or operate a large public facility, you may be able to better enable individual response to such events by identifying emergency escape routes and exits. Use this information to design evacuation plans that can be used by employees and guests to your facility. Reach out to law enforcement to see if they'll come to your facility and assist you in drafting your response plan or guide you to training that may assist employees in their survival. Remember, this training may be the difference between life or death. See about technology you may be able to incorporate to make your facility safer, which may include audio or visual cues for those with access and functional needs. Plan for and train your employees to assist those who may not be able to run, hide, or fight. Equip them with a first aid or a go kit, an emergency ladder in case you're not on the first story, and explore the possibility of mass notification technologies, which may enable you to alert those in the area of any present dangers. Of course, the hope is that neither you nor any of your friends or colleagues will ever be confronted with an active shooter situation. However, should the worst case occur, know that you can always run, hide, or fight. For more information and resources,
and so now we're back. I'm just going to get back to our slide. So we're just going to review what they talked about in the video. So what I like is that they said, when you're practicing for an active shooter drill, that you take into consideration everybody that you're working with. So that's another reason we practice here, and we get used to making sure that for those that have wheelchairs or walkers or need assistance, that the trainers are all very well trained to assist them in evacuating or hiding when needed to do so. So that's a really good practice to do during these drills. So how to respond when an active shooter is in your, let's see, what does it say? Vicinity. In your vicinity. So the first one. Huh?
Move yourself.
Move myself. Okay.
Like click and see, look it.
There I am.
Right?
Yay, now I'm back down here. All right, so first one is evacuate. So if you're able to evacuate, that's your best option, is to get out and go somewhere safe. So have an escape route and plan in mind. So sometimes that's what we do. We evacuate and we go to our safe place. When we evacuate, you're going to leave your belongings behind. That's usually what we do in most of our drills. You leave your stuff behind, you'll be able to get it later, but it's not as important as your life is in that moment. As you're escaping, keep your hands up. It's a very stressful situation. So when the law enforcement shows, they don't know who the shooter is and who the victims are. So if you're putting your hands up, they can see you don't have a gun, and they'll know to let you through and get to safety. Follow the police officer's instructions. So if they're telling you, let's say we always line up in the desert, but they're telling you to go a different route, you follow their instructions. You do what they tell you to do. Oh, somebody asked, if you're at home, where would you go? So if there's an active shooter situation near your home, we have seen that in the news. It's been quite a while. It just depends if the active shooter is just outside your house or they're in your house. If they're in your house, I would run to the neighbor's house, bang on the door and try and get into their house for safety. If it's outside your home, you're going to want to lock your doors up and barricade your doors and crouch down for safety inside your home. So good question on that one. The next one is you're going to hide. So let's say you can't evacuate, you can't run out because the shooter is too close. We talked about some things before, ducking into your office, locking the door, hiding under your desk. When we've been in Project Independence, you guys have gone into your supply closets and hidden there. Sometimes you can't. You just got to get under the desks that are near you. That lady, she hid behind a copy machine. So you just hide wherever you can and stay as quiet as possible and silence your phone. So it's a big one. Block entry to your hiding place and lock the door if possible. So sometimes you can't lock the door, right? So you might be in the multi-purpose room and you're not able to lock the door. So what can you do? You might push furniture in the way, so that way if the active shooter is able to get in there, well, he's going to trip over a lot of furniture to get through. And then call 911 only when it's safe to do so. So you don't want to stop and call 911. You want to get yourself to safety first. And so take action is the third response. So as a last resort and only when your life is in immediate danger, are you going to do this third response. So you're hiding, you're being as quiet as you can, but the active shooter still breaks through. It says attempt to incapacitate the active shooter. What does that mean? It means attempt to stop them, attempt to disarm them. So you saw the gal, she had like a sharp tool in her hand, and the other guy had a heavy item in his hand. So you're going to grab whatever's sharp, whatever's heavy that you can throw, even with the fire extinguisher. Maybe you spray the fire extinguisher in their face first, and then you hit them over the head with it. So it's good to make a plan with the people that are with you. Like, hey, I'm going to throw these papers in his face, and you whack him in the head with a fire extinguisher. Act as a team if possible. Act with physical aggression and commit to your action. So once you attack, you need to keep attacking until somebody's done. So hopefully the active shooter. So if you start and then you stop, they might get back up and then harm you. So you don't want to stop once you start taking action to take the shooter out. I like this little box, how I can just move myself around. We're going to move myself up.
Nice.
All right. So when the active shooter leaves the area you're in, so either they're down, they're captured, but they're no longer shooting, you should immediately proceed to a safe place. If it is possible, do so safely or safely exit the building and do not touch anything that was in the vicinity of the shooter, because that's all evidence now. So you just want to put your hands up, walk out, and get to safety. The purpose of departing the area is to avoid the shooter if he decides to return. The shooter already knows where you're at. So let's say the shooter is still at large, but he's in a different part of the building and you can safely leave the building. Do so very quickly and then stay where it's safe according to the police or the SWAT team, who's ever there, and stay there till they've cleared the area. And then remember, remain calm and call 911 if 911 hasn't already been called. Also, when you get out of the area, you don't just go home. You go out to safety and you wait for law enforcement, because they probably have lots of questions for you. So how to respond when law enforcement arrives on the scene. So how should you react when law enforcement arrives? Remain calm and follow officers' instructions. It's important to remain calm, even though you might want to freak out, because this is a really freaky situation, but remain calm. Immediately raise your hands and spread your fingers so they can see you are not a threat, and then keep your hands visible. What about pepper spray? So we'll approach that question, Amy, here at the end. That's a really good question. We'll get back to that. Avoid making quick movements towards the officers, such as attempting to hold on to them for safety. So they're there for one main reason, and that is to make sure the active shooter is no longer active. That's their number one objective. So don't grab onto them. The next one says avoid pointing, screaming, or yelling, because that's going to draw attention to yourself, and that might make the shooter come after you, or it might freak out the law enforcement. So remain calm. Don't ask officers for help or direction when evacuating. Just proceed in the direction from which the officers are entering. So if they're entering through one door, you're going to exit that door. So you're going to go the opposite direction they're walking towards. Information you should provide to law enforcement or 911 operators. So let's say you're calling in, or this is after you've escaped the facilities or once you come in contact with the law enforcement. So where is the law enforcement located? All right. Where is the active shooter at? Number of shots if more than one. So, hey, I heard a number of shots. It was really fast, like poo, 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 poo. Or they were really loud and slow, like bang, 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 because they are really familiar with guns. So they might know what kind of gun they're using based off the type of shots that they're using. Physical description of the shooter or shooters. Was there one person, two people, male, female, how tall, how old, how young? Those are good things because they might turn around and act like they are a victim rather than the shooter. So the more information you give them, it gives them the ability to know who they are looking for. The number and type of weapons held by the shooters, if possible, and the number of potential victims. So, hey, I saw 3 people down. Hey, I didn't see anybody down. Hey, I saw a bunch of people down, and they were all located in this room from what I saw. So that way they know once the situation's taken care of, they can tell where the paramedics can go to aid victims. So this is the part where we get to the question portion. Because we already had a question from Amy, I'm going to address that. So if you have pepper spray, we are not supposed to be carrying pepper spray here at Desert Haven, but let's say you have pepper spray and you're at the mall. I do have pepper spray. It is not on me or in my person when I'm here at work, but if I am going to like a large gathering or whatnot, I will carry pepper spray in my purse, especially if I'm like in a large dark parking lot or whatnot. So let's say you are at the mall, there's a shooting, you can't get in the way, the shooter is right next to you and it's time to fight. If you are able to spray pepper spray in their face, do so and either attack to disarm them or run away, because once it's sprayed in their face, they might start shooting some more because they're freaking out. So if you spray it at them, you make sure you are in a spot where they can't shoot you immediately after. Or work with the person you're with. I'm going to spray them with pepper spray. You're going to hit them in the head really hard with the water bottle from behind, and then we're going to run in the opposite direction. So pepper spray is created for people to use in the event that they're attacked. So that is a good thing to mention for those of you that have pepper spray. Thank you all for watching today.